I don't want to sound insulting, but the simpleton missionary, the simpleton will come up to the individual, a layperson, and say, well, look, here's proof, here's evidence of the Trinity. What's the evidence? Let us make man in our image. Now, I've always traditionally understood that, and tell me if I'm wrong, that the us, our, is essentially the plural of majesty.
Listen for a moment. It's really very simple. Because in the text tells us that unlike any other creation, man is binary, which means that we are physical. We're made of the clay of the earth, right? But then God blew his breath. The divine nature was put into man. So man is both physical. When we see our dog or cat, our pets, we understand them. They want to be safe, they want to eat, they want to have babies. We get all that stuff. But man alone could believe in God. No other animal ever believed in God. So man is made up both of the material and he's made up of the spiritual. He's both. And therefore we have free will. Your dog is never going to go to heaven. Please don't be offended, all you viewers. Dogs don't have a soul. Love them. You can learn from their obedience, but they don't have a. So man, God really does call two things in our eyes. This is in Genesis 2. He literally calls the clay of the earth and the spirituality, the breath, together into one, and let us make man, because man is both. And therefore, man has free will. He could choose good or he can choose evil. And it's interesting, this term, let us, is only used 3 times in Tanakh, and it's right here. That means what we do is we can look in the same neighborhood of passages, and we'll find that the us comes up again very soon. So we know that God is speaking to the angels in Genesis 1:26, because after Adam eats from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, he then cannot go into the Garden of Eden, and God calls upon fiery angels to prevent man. And God says in Genesis 3:22, let us prevent men from becoming like one of us. That means eating from the tree of life and being eternal, which then became a problem. The third time, so there's men, the us is there speaking to an angel. It's in the text, and God is saying us. And you can see it explicitly. You don't need Tovia Singer for this. And a third time is the third attempt by man to somehow achieve equality with God by building a tower that rose up to the heavens. This is like GPS. We're going to triangulate this. In Genesis 11, verse 7, the same thing. God says to the angels, let us go down and confound man, so that he speaks different languages, to stop him from his effort to try to be divine, to try to achieve equality. So what you do is, it's a GPS. We have 3 passages. That's it. And they're all in the same place in the Bible. They're in the creation process, the earliest moments, the formidable moments of mankind, where man can never step over that line to try to be divine. Yes, every man has a divine spirit, but he is not equal to God, and that's why God summons the angels, the breath, the very same, because angels are only spiritual. The physical is just a facade, and man is both. He's both physical and spiritual. Same thing in Genesis 3:22, same thing in Genesis 11:7. All of them, God is addressing angels. Adam is binary. He is both clay and soul, which other animals are. Birds don't have a soul. Dogs don't have a soul. So therefore, it really is in us. And is it true that idol worshippers throughout history, it didn't start with Christianity. We have a record that's going all the way back, that pagans seize these amorphic texts. And this really takes us back to where our conversation began. So people who are heretics, I'm using strong words because I might as well be clear, all heretics do this. They scour texts trying to find something that they already believe, and they take ambiguous passages, which is true. You do need Genesis 2 verse 7 to help you understand Genesis 1:26. It's true. So, and exploit it. And if you know Genesis 3:22 and Genesis 11:7, it slams the book on the issue. So man has those two qualities. And what are we doing as humans? We are struggling between our desire to serve ourselves, the clay in us, the earth, the dog in us. You know, when we say that you're behaving like an animal, it's not a compliment, right? What are we saying when we say that someone's behaving like an animal? We're saying that you're only acting like the clay that other animals were created out of, the earth. And you're not behaving like someone who has a soul inside of you. That's what behaving like an animal means. You're behaving like someone who's not aware that there's a God. So if only man, has the awareness of God in him, we only have free will. Other animals don't. And we're torn. And our job, as those who love the true God that Abraham preached, are therefore we are called upon to serve and submit, be loyal to, adore, and love only the true God and forsake the physical element and instead submit to God. If there was no free will, if we didn't have the animal in us, that other part of us, there'd be no possibility for free will, and virtue would be impossible.
אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא